name is Jackie, and I'm here to share with you my experiences and my life lessons and hopefully inspire you to be, well, better humans. Many of you just don't know me as Jackie, but as Jackie Maribe. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about myself, basically things that maybe you have never heard me talk about before. I am the last born of a family of 3 girls, believe it or not. My sisters like to say that I was spoiled. Was I spoiled? I don't think so. But I had a very good childhood. I had a lot of fun as a child. Went to good schools, born and bred here in Nairobi. And some of the exciting things I remember about my childhood would be like, I was a bookworm, believe you me. I was really a bookworm. And one time, my father had to come to school and offer money to, alianza kuharibu watu kitambo. He offered money to my classmates and said, whoever will be able to beat my daughter, kwetu number 1, you take 1,000 bob. 1,000 bob back in the day was not bad money. But yeah, we had a lot of fun growing up. I got called to State House Girls, very good school, but that is why I think I started defining what I wanted to do with my life, who I wanted to be. And apart from, the books and everything, I really was into clubs. And one of the clubs that I loved was drama. And I remember this is where I met the likes of Lynette Munyali, who is currently size 8. I met Edith Kimani, who was in KTN, now with Dushwella, and a couple of other people. And we went on to win the national plays at the National Drama Festivals. And I think that just opened up like a series of events that would follow our lives. Kina Edith and Lynette went ahead to go to Hillcrest. I got called into a campaign for PSI. I don't know how many of you can remember that thing for
Peter Chill.
Yeah. The advert. I got a role as well from just being in drama club into a movie called The Constant Gardener. Rachel Weisz, Ralph Fiennes were in the country shooting. I got a small but significant role from there. And I think I just started realizing that since I loved debate from when I was a child and I loved telling stories, telling real passionate stories, then journalism now became the path that I wanted to follow. And of course, as life would have it, you have parents who imagine you should do law, you should be a doctor, be a pilot, which are all good professions. But then I think I had very understanding parents, I had a very understanding family. So when I brought up that I wanted to do journalism, it was acceptable, like it wasn't even an argument. So I moved from drama club, almost went to Hillcrest, by the way, with Edith and size 8, but I had just a few months to clear school, so, And from there, I think I just started focusing a lot on what I would pursue when I moved on to the university, and that's how I ended up being at the University of Nairobi, studying journalism and media studies. All right, so like I was saying, from State House Girls, I made my way to the University of Nairobi, and I thought, why not show you where we were? And that's where my journalism studies began. I took journalism and media studies, but what was interesting about our time, and I don't say our time like I mean I'm extremely that old, but what was interesting about it was we were some of the few classes that had just started for journalism. The university at the time was not offering courses, so it was also a very new experience for them as it was for us. But what also happened at the exact same time I'm in campus trying to study is that I landed an internship at K24, which is literally behind the university. So it was a walking distance. You can come to school, you can go to work, and I was lucky enough or blessed enough to get an internship that early into school. And I think it was where now you start to define your driving force. So what was one of the highlights of when I got into the media industry, is that one day my boss at the time, and I remember it was like 2 weeks into internship, calls me aside and says, all right, we have noticed a lot of potentially new, but what exactly would you want to feature in? Because in media you kind of define the space that you want to be in. And little Jackie says she wants to do politics. So I have this reaction from my then boss who says, no. Politics is literally a man's world. That is not something that you should be thinking of getting into. And you know how you've ever been given a challenge? You know when your mom used to say, don't take that sugar, and that's when you go and take the sugar? That now literally became the driving force that took me into a field of politics, not just as a reporter, but a female reporter. And that is a space that we need to appreciate and define our women in. So I had a stint at K24 for a couple of years. Became one of the few people to get very early promotions from that. So I became a senior political reporter at K24. Then I got called, we call it poaching, to KISS TV, which is in Westlands. I took up political reportage again as a senior political reporter, but then only for 8 months, because I was then now with my former and final media employer at the time, which is Citizen Television under Royal Media Services. Citizen TV was, I think, was every person's dream, everyone who was in media at the time. And for you to get an opportunity like that was mind-blowing. But then again, like I said, as a woman in a political space of reportage, it was just something that, you know, is a dream come true, but it's also a lot of hard work. You have to push yourself beyond the limits, prove yourself, and it paid off. In the number of years that I worked for Citizen Television, I think the drive that you get from there and the support that you get from your colleagues as well earned me a lot. I became the first ever female and political reporter to interview the 4th President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. And while at it, being a woman, very heavily pregnant.
Are you able to walk?
Yes, sir.
You're still engaging.
I'm still very engaging, very active. So you can imagine walking the lawns of State House. You know, you're trying to do this very serious interview. You're being asked, is your back okay? It was quite the journey. Getting into the political campaign period, both in 2013 and 2017, and doing it so vigorously that it earns you some space and respect even among the political class, among the political leadership, and also among those that you want to inspire. So it was a really interesting journey between 3 different media houses, which up until 2018 was going great. Jackie's at the peak of my career. Until then, all of a sudden, you just don't know how life is interesting. Life just happens, and it's like you're driving on such high speed, and then you have to take an emergency brake. So getting into 2018 was a very interesting year for me, being one of the voices that could actually be heard and taken seriously in the political sphere, the political leadership. Again, being a female senior political reporter, it was quite an interesting, you know, journey for me, having risen like that, having covered presidential elections twice. That's in 2013 and 2018. And you all of a sudden feel like everything is falling into place and everything is making so much sense. Until one day you have no idea what the world just decides to do, like literally a standstill. Have you ever felt like your world just stopped? And you stop breathing, you stop understanding what is going on around you. And I know you know what I'm talking about, that happened in 2018, that basically just brought my journey as a journalist to a halt so unexpectedly. And it's something I cannot go into details about because legally I'm not allowed to do that. But I hope it's a conversation that we can be able to have in the future. What I have learned from it so far, what as a woman it has meant for me, the changes that it has brought. But I'd say life can just deal you blows, and it becomes extremely difficult to understand what has just happened. You know how you're on a high and you're rising and you're rising, and your name and your everything you have ever worked for in your life, and then it's like time literally stops. But then what do you do after that? You take it in stride, and I took it in stride. Either way, I went back to my company after taking a very small break. Interestingly enough, when you think everything is crumbling in front of you, I got promoted instead. So life is like that. I became a news editor, from being a senior political reporter, quit the screen for a while, just something that you love doing so much. It's I don't know, it's interesting. So at some point there comes a time when you have to take a break. So I took a break in July, basically to focus, re-energize on things that happened in life and motherhood and just being who I am. Yet you realize that who you are is somebody that tells stories, somebody that is passionate about what they do. And journalism, I think for me, runs in the blood. It's about passion, it's about drive. So when you feel like you're losing that all of a sudden, then I think you have to regroup with yourself, just take notes, learn. But the most important thing you do is, as emotional a time as you can go through like that, you have to learn how to be a phoenix and rise from the ashes and pick yourself back up. Because journalism has been so personal for me, that is what I have chosen to do. Continue to tell stories. I cannot rest without practicing. Journalism is life. So what do you do when you get back down? Get back up again. If you fall again, get back up. If you fall a third time, get back up. It has been a roller coaster of a ride this past year, just trying to take it all in, trying to smile when you know you can't, trying to hide your emotions when you really want to just break down and cry, trying to be strong for those who have been strong for you. But the lessons are worth everything that life has to offer. How to be strong again, how to make lemonade when life deals you lessons, but mostly appreciating those that will always be in your corner. Your family, your closest friends, and those that actually keep believing in you and what you do. But you know what you do when you feel like you're down and you're out? You get back up. You grab it by the horns and you keep walking. This time, even bigger, and better. So embark on this journey with us, won't you? On the hot seats with me, Jackie Maribe.